Throughout history, prisons have been built with the intention of being impenetrable fortresses, places where the world's most dangerous individuals are locked away, never to return to society. Yet, despite high walls, iron bars, and armed guards, some prisoners have managed to do the unthinkable: escape. Jailbreaks are not as rare as we might believe. In fact, history is filled with daring, ingenious, and sometimes even shocking escapes that have left authorities scrambling and the public stunned. Take, for example, the infamous escape from Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary in 1962. Situated on a lonely island surrounded by the freezing waters of San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz was considered inescapable. Yet three inmates, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin, managed to carve ventilation holes in their cells, create lifelike dummy heads to fool guards, and fashion a raft out of raincoats. To this day, no one knows for certain if they survived the treacherous swim to freedom or perished in the icy waters. Their fate remains one of the greatest mysteries in American criminal history. Another legendary escape took place in France in the 1980s, when the notorious criminal Pascal Payet escaped not once, not twice, but 3 times, and even helped organize helicopter breakouts for his fellow inmates. Payet's daring methods of fleeing heavily guarded prisons embarrassed French authorities and forced them to rethink their prison security protocols altogether. In South Africa, the story of Tim Jenkin and Stephen Lee is nothing short of astonishing. Political prisoners during the apartheid era, Jenkin and Lee meticulously crafted wooden keys to unlock 10 doors within Pretoria's Central Prison. After months of careful planning, they escaped into the night in 1979 and ultimately fled the country. Their daring escape later became the subject of books and movies, showcasing their determination and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. More recently, in 2015, 2 inmates, Richard Matt and David Sweat, staged a dramatic escape from Clinton Correctional Facility in upstate New York. With the assistance of a civilian prison employee, they used power tools to cut through steel walls and navigated a labyrinth of tunnels and pipes to break free. The escape sparked a massive 3-week manhunt that captivated the nation and ended in one escapee being shot and the other captured alive. These escapes, though different in time, place, and method, all share a common thread. They highlight the sheer audacity, intelligence, and resilience of the human spirit, even in the darkest of circumstances. They also underline a hard truth. No matter how secure a prison claims to be, human ingenuity can sometimes find a way out. However, while many prison breaks are dramatic, even cinematic, few can match the sheer scale and shocking boldness of the escape we are about to reveal. It is a story that defies logic, rattles belief, and forces us to question whether any prison can truly claim to be escape-proof. Some escapes make headlines, but a few become legends. And what you're about to hear is not just a story about breaking free from prison walls. It's a tale of strategy, patience, and daring that changed everything. Stay tuned, because this is one jailbreak that rewrote the rules forever. Among the countless tales of prison breaks, one story stands out as the most daring, unbelievable, and shocking of all: the escape of El Chapo from Mexico's maximum security Altiplano prison in 2015. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the notorious leader of the Sinaloa drug cartel, was considered one of the most dangerous men on the planet. After years of manhunts, gun battles, and political pressure, his capture was a huge victory for law enforcement. He was locked away in Altiplano, a fortress designed to hold the worst of the worst, equipped with 24/7 surveillance, reinforced cells, and round-the-clock guards. Yet, even with all these precautions, El Chapo managed to do the impossible. The planning behind his escape was nothing short of brilliant, and months, if not years, in the making. Underneath his cell, a team of highly skilled workers dug a mile-long tunnel equipped with ventilation systems, electric lighting, and even a modified motorcycle mounted on rails to speed his journey to freedom. The tunnel led from a blind spot in his cell's shower, the only place cameras couldn't watch him, all the way to a construction site beyond the prison walls. The risk involved was astronomical. Every moment of digging, every shipment of materials, and every decision carried the possibility of exposure. Yet, the operation remained a secret, aided by a network of bribes, corrupt officials, and ruthless efficiency. El Chapo's team invested millions of dollars, and dozens of workers risked their lives, all to ensure that their boss could breathe free air once again. On the night of July 11th, 2015, it finally happened. Security footage showed El Chapo casually walking to his shower area. Moments later, he vanished. No alarms, no alerts, just silence. By the time guards realized he was missing, he was already speeding through the underground tunnel, far beyond their reach. The aftermath was a national and international humiliation for Mexico. Questions raged. How could the most dangerous criminal in the country simply vanish under the noses of prison authorities? Was it incompetence, corruption, or both? The Mexican government launched a massive manhunt, arresting dozens of prison employees and interrogating anyone even remotely connected to the escape. Meanwhile, El Chapo's escape became a symbol, not just of his personal cunning, but of the deep cracks within the Mexican justice system. His freedom was a brutal reminder that power, influence, and money could still bend even the highest walls and the strongest locks. For 6 months, El Chapo remained free, moving stealthily from safe house to safe house. He even entertained meetings with filmmakers and celebrities during his time on the run, further embarrassing authorities. Ultimately, he was recaptured in January 2016 after a bloody shootout. But by then, the damage to the system's credibility was done. The story of El Chapo's escape isn't just about a man slipping through the cracks. It's about a monumental failure, a daring strategy, and a brutal expose of how corruption can eat away even the strongest institutions from the inside. More than a prison break, it became a defining event that forced an entire nation to face uncomfortable truths and left the world watching in disbelief. Because in the end, it wasn't just walls or guards that kept a prisoner locked up. It was trust, vigilance, and integrity. And once those were lost, even the most fortified prison became nothing more than an illusion. El Chapo's shocking escape sent shockwaves far beyond the walls of Altiplano prison. It exposed a brutal reality. No prison, no matter how secure it seemed, was truly escape-proof if corruption and complacency seeped into its foundations. The aftermath of his flight triggered immediate, sweeping changes, both inside Mexico and across the world. First came the public reaction. In Mexico, anger boiled over. Ordinary citizens who had long endured the violence and instability fueled by cartel wars were outraged. How could the country's most wanted criminal, someone responsible for thousands of deaths, simply vanish from under heavy guard? Street protests erupted, social media exploded with hashtags mocking the government, and late-night TV shows worldwide turned the escape into a grim punchline. The embarrassment wasn't just national, it was global. Under immense pressure, Mexican authorities launched a full-scale investigation. Over 30 prison officials, guards, and administrators were arrested or fired, accused of negligence or direct involvement in the escape. Suddenly, Altiplano, once thought to be Mexico's most secure prison, became a symbol of corruption, weakness, and failure. Reforms were immediately announced. Surveillance systems were upgraded. Blind spots, like the one in El Chapo's shower, were eliminated. Staff rotations were increased to prevent cozy relationships between inmates and guards, and background checks became far more rigorous. Yet many wondered, were these changes too little, too late? On a broader scale, governments around the world began re-examining their own prison security systems. If a country could lose track of a prisoner as dangerous and high-profile as El Chapo, then nowhere was truly immune. Extra layers of security, independent audits, and stricter policies were introduced in maximum security facilities across Latin America and the United States. As for El Chapo himself, his days on the run were numbered. Despite his resources and connections, the global spotlight made hiding more difficult. Every safe house had to be abandoned quickly. Every phone call was a risk. His recklessness, particularly his attempts to arrange meetings with celebrities and produce a biopic about his life, eventually gave law enforcement crucial leads. In January 2016, 6 months after his escape, Mexican Marines closed in on a house in Los Mochis, Sinaloa. A violent gunfight broke out. When the smoke cleared, El Chapo was captured once again. This time, there would be no third escape. Given the embarrassment his escape had caused, Mexican authorities quickly agreed to extradite him to the United States. In 2017, he was flown to New York under the tightest security possible. In 2019, after a high-profile trial that revealed even more about his criminal empire, El Chapo was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years, with no possibility of parole. Today, he is housed in the United States' most secure facility, a DX Florence, known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies, where prisoners spend 23 hours a day in solitary confinement. The lessons of El Chapo's escape remain vivid. His jailbreak didn't just embarrass a nation, it forced a reckoning. It revealed how organized crime, corruption, and negligence can punch holes through even the thickest walls. It reminded the world that when power and money are involved, loyalty can crumble, and the unthinkable can happen. More than anything, it cemented El Chapo's legacy, not just as a ruthless drug lord, but as the mastermind behind one of the most daring prison breaks in modern history. A break that didn't just free a man, but exposed the fragile line between order and chaos. Because sometimes, the most fortified prisons aren't built of concrete and steel. They're built of trust. And when that trust shatters, nothing can hold back a determined mind.